Hello everyone and welcome back to Steins Gate. I'm G, and I actually recorded this already, and it didn't work and it failed to export, and I'm very sad because my throat is going to be rough after doing 2 more episodes of this. I tend to do 2 in a day because after that my throat dies, so we're doing 3 now, yay! But anyways, last we saw, we spoke to Amadeus Kursu, and then we were being escorted out by Dr. Leskinen. So, let's get started. Dr. Leskinen stopped me before I left. So, interested in being a tester? I tilted my head when I heard the professor speak through the translator. Amadeus doesn't have a lot of conversation samples. I've got all the kids in my lab helping as much as they can, but it's not enough.
Amadeus is still in the research stage and we can't just let anyone talk to it.
So I want you, Lintalo, to help us, since you were her friend. I remember they'd mentioned something about being a tester at the party. So this is what they were talking about.
Professor and I will be staying in Japan for a while. We'd like you to be a tester while we're here. Your job will just be talking to Kursu. There's no real quota, just talk to her when you feel like it. But twice a month I want you to report on your testing to me and the professor.
Oh, and I'm sorry, but we can't pay you. I want you to keep that in mind when you decide. I'm aware that it's cruel to ask you to talk to an AI that's perfectly identical to your dead friend. If you're not interested, feel free to turn us down. I remembered what it felt like to talk to Kursu, when the monitor was just about to turn off. This is what Kursu had said. Let's talk again sometime, Rintaro Okabe. That's what I'd hoped for when I came here, wasn't it? I'll do it. Please let me do it. I thought I was ready when I accepted the job, but I had never expected this. Hello.
It's Makise.
Kursu was displayed on the screen. Yes, it was Amadeus. The app the professor had given me allowed me to access the servers of Victor Condria University from anywhere, 24 hours a day.
Of course you'll be able to contact Kursu. But Kursu will also sometimes contact you. When that happens, talk to her.
This I hadn't predicted. Never thought she would call me, or that her face would be displayed on the screen.
Or should I have introduced myself with, "It's Christina"?
She looked really mad. I could guess why. I had gotten 8 calls from Kursu and I ignored them all.
Maho and Dr. Leskinen explained things, so I thought I'd call once myself to make a proper introduction, but I didn't expect you'd refuse to pick up 8 times. Why aren't you saying anything?
Talking to a realistic girl on my smartphone with so many people around was pretty embarrassing.
Well, if you don't want to talk, that's fine, but what's with you? I was sure this was my chance to talk more than usual. I feel like an idiot. Ahem. Just know that during the test period, I'm always connected with you. Contact me whenever you feel like it. I'm busy, so I don't know if I'll always be able to answer your calls.
Man, what is this? More than that strangely polite, friendly Kursu from yesterday. Angry, stubborn, more curious than anyone. The way she seemed to be constantly challenging you.
Anyway, goodbye.
I realized that this really was Kursu Makise. That was the girl I'd spent those 3 weeks with, lab member 004, my assistant, Christina, aka Kursu Makise. Her movements were a little more jerky than I'd seen on the computer at Dr. Leskinen's office, but evidently that was because of the smartphone. This alone was enough to make me feel like my heart was being squeezed dry. I stood still, holding the smartphone tight.
No green, what's wrong, yeah?
Oh, I'm coming. I thought to myself as I ran to catch up with the others. Maybe Dr. Leskinen was right, and this test would be a very cruel thing for me. But even so, in my mind I was already starting to think about what I would talk about with Kursu. Maho Hiaja was remembering. She was remembering the last night she'd spoken to Kursu Makise in person. March 28th, 2010, 11:18 in the evening.
Seriously, why do I have to do this now of all times?
That night, Kursu was whispering to herself a lot. Mitochondria University's Brain Science Institute. Maho and Kursu worked in the same room at the lab. Thus, Maho was forced to hear Kursu's angry mumblings whether she wanted to or not. A little was fine, but she'd been acting like this all day and it was keeping Maho from concentrating. She finally snapped and turned away from the paper she was writing.
Hey, Kursu!
English was the language most commonly used at Mitochondria University. When the other staff and professors were around, she'd always use English, but when it was just her and Kursu, Maho would often speak in Japanese.
Would you stop it? What? Stop what?
Kursu stopped messing with her luggage and turned around.
You're so loud that I can't concentrate. I need to turn this paper in by tomorrow. Was I talking to myself? Want me to sue you for violating the local noise ordinance? Sorry.
Kursu apologized and started to scratch the back of her head. Maho decided to calm down by standing up and going to the shelf where the research notes were kept. There were several books she needed for her paper. They were all up on the top shelf.
Ah.
This must be someone's idea of a prank, she'd said as she stared up at a heavy book. She decided to try and reach for it, but no matter how she stood on her toes, she came nowhere close. Her tiny little arms seemed to her like dead branches waving in the wind. She bit her lip. After she'd skipped grades to go to college and then come to work at this lab, she had more chances than ever before to hate her small stature. Whenever she walked outside after dark, the cops would stop her. Even with her ID, she couldn't get into bars, and buying medicine and alcohol at drugstores was a pain. The most humiliating part was that no matter where she went, everyone thought she was in middle school. Nobody believed her when she said she was 20. Everything in America was just too big.
Shall I get that for you?
Kursu noticed the trouble Maho was having and came over. But Maho was stubborn and decided to pretend nothing was wrong.
It's fine, I'm not having any problems. Sure you aren't. I'm not.
You sure?
I'm sure. There's a book on this shelf I want too, so...
Kursu easily reached up to the highest shelf and grabbed the book Maho wanted.
It must be nice to be tall. No, I'm not really that... Oh.
Kursu covered her mouth when she realized she said something she shouldn't have.
Thanks, that was a big help. If you need something in Japan, tell me, I'll send it. I will, thank you.
Kursu handed over the book as she spoke. Then suddenly her eyes went wide and began to sparkle.
Hey, Maho, about what we were just talking about. What were we just talking about? Talking to yourself. Huh? Oh.
It looked like Kursu had come up with a new idea. This was a regular occurrence for Kursu, and Maho was used to it.
Wouldn't that be proof of a self? For Amadeus? Yes. Yeah, if she started talking to herself, I'd be pretty surprised.
No matter how advanced an AI was, it wouldn't talk to itself unless you programmed it to do that. And there was no need or even a point to a feature like that. If an AI started talking to itself, that might be a good indication that there was a self to talk to. But Maho hesitated to agree with her.
You should watch what you say here. Don't forget that there are a lot of people who think that a soul is something God gives to humanity. That's right, isn't it?
Kursu's expression dimmed. Kursu and Maho were both treated as heretics in the lab, especially since they were both Japanese and women. And Kursu was simply too talented. Nobody ever actually did anything, but a lot of the older scientists were definitely avoiding her. Dr. Leskinen was the chief scientist, and the fact that he liked the two of them was all that let them do their research in peace. If the other scientists heard what Kursu had just said, who knows what they'd do. Maho patted Kursu on the shoulder.
Well, go have a good time in Japan and refresh yourself. Still not happy about that. Why? I think you'll have fun. I'm doing an exchange. It should be to a graduate school. Why high school? It has to be a high school, right? By Japanese standards, you should still be in high school. Just accept that the professor is doing something nice for you.
Maho remembered what Dr. Leskiman had said. Kursu has a fragile personality. All the bickering in the lab is putting her under a lot of stress and she's at her limit. It might ruin her as a researcher. That's what the professor had said. He was really worried about her.
And you have to go to Japan in July anyway, right? So it's perfect timing. Yeah, I'm actually kind of down about that too. Akihabara Technoforum. Was that it? I'm still not used to giving lectures. I don't know what to do. Now that you're published in science, expect a lot more of this. You'll need to practice. I'd rather not.
Kursu whispered to herself. Maho didn't like being around lots of other people either, so she knew how Kursu felt. There were a lot of scientists who wanted to be published in a major journal, then go on to give public lectures. And she'd beaten out many of them to win that honor. People were jealous. She needed to fulfill her responsibilities, even if just to shut them up. Maybe I'm not that much better, though. Maho silently laughed a little, and hated herself for doing it. Maybe I'm just as jealous as they are. That feeling, which was a little like fear, was something that she always felt. The girl in front of her was just that different from Maho. Someone she could never reach, no matter how hard she tried. Someone who'd surpassed everything she'd ever done almost instantly.
Maho?
Kursu was peering into her face, confused. Maho felt flustered.
Are you meaning your dad in Japan?
She'd heard that Kursu's parents weren't divorced, but that they were separated. Her mom was still in America, and her dad was in Japan. After Maho said it, she'd wondered if that was too personal a question. But Kursu smiled a little.
Actually, I got an invitation from him. Oh yeah? He's announcing a new theory this summer. I'm thinking of going to see the announcement. A new theory?
Kursu's smile changed into a small expression of consternation.
I haven't heard the details yet. I know it's got something to do with the theory of relativity. Yeah?
Maho felt like she was hiding something, but didn't question her anymore.
Anyway, take care. I'll be expecting presents. What do you want? Since you're going to Akihabara, why not something rare? You know a lot about Akihabara, right? Huh? Why do you say that? You're always reading those sites during breaks. What? Did Amadeus tell you that? You wouldn't do that. Sometimes I'm right behind you and you're so busy watching videos that you don't even notice. I can't believe you found out. Damn my carelessness.
Kursu actually seemed upset for once. This really surprised Maho.
Maho, please don't tell the others. I don't think it's really something you need to hide, but...
The idea of having a secret with Kursu made Maho happy.
Got it. I won't tell anyone. Thanks so much.
Kursu seemed genuinely relieved. Maho continued.
Hey. Once you get back from Japan, let's find out if Amadeus can talk to herself. Okay.
Kursu had a very happy look on her face. It was the face of a born scientist who loved to explore the unknown more than anything in the world. Her smile was as innocent as that of a child who'd just been given a new toy. It was very beautiful. And it was one of the reasons that Maho liked the younger researcher quite a bit. But the promise the two of them made would never be fulfilled. In fact, they would never even meet again. It felt like she was thinking about Kursu more and more since she'd come to Japan. Maho didn't know if it was because she was in Japan or because she was talking with the Amadeus Kursu more often. Or maybe, was it because she'd met the young man named Ritaro Okabe?
He knows things about Kursu that I don't, huh?
Thinking back, the first day she'd met, she'd broken down and cried right in front of him. It was something she didn't want to remember. She chased the memories away out of embarrassment.
You were thinking of Okabe, weren't you?
She snapped her head toward the PC monitor. Maho was in the middle of a conversation with Kursu.
Yeah, that's right.
She shrugged her shoulders and tried to ignore Kursu's mischievous smile.
Don't you think it's strange that Dr. Leskinen's got such a high opinion of him? He handed over your access rights to a guy he'd only met twice. Is it really wise to trust him so much? You look like a nice person. Yeah? I can't tell if he's got any ambitions or not. I feel like I don't really understand him. You like him? Would you cut it out?
Maho brought her face close to the monitor and glared. The Kurisu seemed unconcerned.
There's no real need to hide it, is there? I can understand why you didn't want to say anything yesterday when he was right in front of you, but now it's just the two of us.
Kurisu may not have looked like someone who would, but she really enjoyed this sort of gossip. Maybe girl talk was the right word. Maho sighed and sat back in her chair. Creaking sound echoed through the empty office.
I really don't feel that way about him. I don't even really know who he is. I see. Well, that makes sense.
Kurisu let the matter drop. It bothered Maho a little.
What does interest me? What is it? No, it's nothing.
Maho had been spending a lot of time thinking about something since yesterday, to the point where she'd even put off her research. What kind of relationship was there between Kurisu and Okabe? What was Kurisu feeling in the days before she died? She would have liked to ask Okabe if she could.
Maho, did my original and Okabe know each other?
Maho shivered. It was as if Kurisu had been reading her mind.
How could you tell? Came to that conclusion after listening to Okabe and hearing her responses. It's all just circumstantial evidence, but do you want me to show my proof anyway? It's fine. Knowing you, the conclusion is perfect.
The way they used words like proof in normal conversation showed that both Maho and Kurisu were scientists at heart.
If he has memories of me that I don't possess, it's likely to cause problems with our conversations. I'll leave it up to you how to deal with it. You may bring it up, possibly, and if you want, you can ask him.
Maho still didn't know if Okabe would even access Amadeus at all. They weren't forcing him to.
Feigning ignorance is the same as lying, isn't it? I should be able to get some good data, I think.
Yes, it was interesting. But that was her opinion, as a researcher working on Amadeus. How would Rintaro Okabe feel about it? Wouldn't this be rubbing salt on the wounds in his heart? Maho realized she was getting much too sentimental.
Maybe it's because I'm in Japan.
It had been a week since she'd arrived. The first thing she'd planned to do was offer flowers. But she still couldn't bring herself to visit the Akihabara radio building, the place where Kurisu had died. The sun was setting earlier, now that December had arrived. Katsumi Nakase was surprised by how quickly it had gotten dark while she was out rummaging through the cosplay shops. The wheeled suitcase on the ground next to her felt heavy. She'd done her best to jam everything she'd bought today inside, and it was bursting at the seams. Still, spending a whole day shopping with her cosplay friends was a lot of fun. She felt tired, but it was a good tired. Her footsteps were light as she walked back to the station.
Fuuki, you look like you're about to start skipping around, don't you? Oh, you can tell? It was so much fun doing all that shopping today. I'm so satisfied with what we got. We had a lot of fun shopping too, thanks Fuuki. Thanks for coming. I'll do anything for you, Maishi.
Fuuki tried to grab her friend Mayuri Shina for a hug. Mayuri dodged out of the way. Mayuri may have looked like an airhead, but she was actually quite athletic. Fuuki, by the way, was Katsumi Nakase's cosplay name. Katsumi was in her second year of high school. She and Mayuri were the same age, but were total opposites. Katsumi was boyish and athletic, and when she cosplayed as a male character, she attracted more female kamiko than male ones.
Now we don't have to worry about Winter Komima, do we?
Four friends had gone to cosplay shops along Yugawaya, Maidens Road, and Tokyo Hands in Ikebukuro. They moved to Akihabara and visited several more. This was all part of their final preparations for Winter Komima.
Sure, but it's Mayuri doing almost all the work. Don't push yourself too hard, okay, Mayuri?
Kaede sounded a little worried. Her real name was Kaede Kuroshima, and she used her real name as her cosplay pseudonym. She was 3 years older than Katsumi, and in college. Kaede was extremely feminine, and her measurements were just like the ones magazine models claimed to have, but she was very shy. People had tried many times to persuade her to enter the pageant at her college, but she'd always refused, saying, "Normal events are kind of scary." But even so, cosplaying at Komi with the rest of them was something she looked forward to.
Why don't we all help Mayuri and make the outfits together this time?
Amayuki proposed. She had a very noble, elegant features, but the rest of her was easygoing and laid back. Though Katsumi was a fellow girl, she still thought Amayuki was beautiful. Even her light blue penetrating eyes lacked the arrogance that beautiful women usually possessed. They were filled instead with a friendly light. Her real name was Yuki Amane. Amane! She was a senior at Meiji University, and in the same club as Kaede. She was the oldest of the four. She'd once tried to give up cosplay and focus on job hunting. After just 6 months, she'd given up on work and gone back to costuming. Since then, she'd been spending more time with Katsumi and the others.
Oh, you don't have to help me.
Everyone smiled at her, but Mayuri quickly shook her head.
You guys pay for more than half the cost of supplies, right? It's enough to make Maishi very happy. We're making our outfits so we'd feel bad if we didn't pay. And you know, I've always wanted to make some really neat outfits like you do. Yep, Maishi's outfits are always really high quality. I'm super grateful. You see, we really want to help Mayuri. Okay, let's all make them together.
Katsumi knew that it made Mayuri really happy when someone praised her cosplay outfits.
Oh, but there's actually a favor I wanted to ask you guys. A favor? You see?
Mayuri told them about an event that had quickly become a mainstay of the Japanese holiday year.
We're having a Christmas party, so Maishi was hoping that Yuki and Kaede and Fubuki could all come. Christmas party, huh? Yeah, can you come? I wanna go.
Katsumi's only plan for Christmas Eve was dinner with her family, so she raised her hand instantly. None of her friends at school wanted to do anything that night. She'd been a little put out about that, since it meant they all had boyfriends.
I can go too.
Kaede also nodded, but Yuki seemed a little hesitant.
I don't know if I should go. Huh? You have plans? Of course a girl as pretty as Yuki's gonna have a ton of guys asking her out for a Christmas date. What? That's not true. Really? I'll take you for myself. I'd rather go on a Christmas date with you than do anything else in the world, Fubuki. Oh, I love you too, Yuki. I thought you only cared about Mayuri. I love Maishi, and I love you too.
Katsumi quickly jumped over to Kaede and gave her a big hug. Kaede was soft and smelled good, and enduring this sort of sexual harassment was nothing new for her.
Oh, and Yuki? Can you show Maishi how to make a yummy quiche?
Yuki was an excellent chef and had been teaching Mayuri a lot lately. Both Katsumi and Kaede would occasionally participate in what they called Yuki Amane's cooking lessons.
Sure, what kind of quiche? Maishi thinks spinach and mushroom is good. Ham, tomato, and bacon is good too, you know. Oh, just thinking about it makes me drool. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, then I'll teach you how to make both. Really? That's right, everyone would be happier if there were lots of different ones, right? Is this for the Christmas party? Yep, there's less than a month left, so I want to learn in time. You'll have to train extra hard. When do you want to do it? Tomorrow? Yeah, Maishi's okay with that.
Katsumi went over her schedule in her head.
Oh, tomorrow, huh? I'm supposed to be a friend. Got work.
Katsumi really wanted to go, so she was pretty disappointed. She would have loved the chance to eat one of Yuki's good quiches. As she thought about the quiche, her stomach began to rumble. It was about time for dinner. Yuki and Mayuri worked out the time and place for their meetup.
The place I'm staying is a little far from here, so... How about the lab? Yeah, that's fine. I'll work hard and learn the recipe. hope it's a fun party. Yeah, Mayushi's gonna make Santa outfits. Will you all wear them? Wow, you're making even more outfits than the one we need for Komima? You're really excited about this. Mayushi is raring to go.
Mary posed like she was cheering.
If you're making Santa outfits, I'd like one with a cute miniskirt and then some white knee socks and red boots. Huh? It'll look good on you, Kaede. But do you think it would look good on me?
Tatsumi spoke to Mayuri and Yuki with high confidence in her voice.
I know you like the cute outfits best.
There was nothing Katsumi could say. He was right. It bothered Katsumi a lot that she looked like a boy. And she knew that sort of clothing didn't look right on her. Still, at heart, she was a young girl and she wanted to wear cute clothes.
Even to Mayushi, all my clothes look great on you. Oh, that's my bride! Marry me! You're so silly, Fubuki. Don't talk like Daru does. Getting compared to that perverted gentleman kind of hurts. By the way, you're going to wear the same outfit, the Santa outfit too, right, Mayuri? What? Don't wet me. You're cute. You should cosplay more. I just make the clothes. I don't wear them.
Objection! That's a waste!
Oh, not you too, Fubuki. And what's more, I bet Okabe wants to see you in a cute cosplay outfit. Huh? Ocarine?
Mary made a weird noise as soon as she heard that name.
Ocarine? Oh, Mayushi's boyfriend, right.
Katsumi had met him many times. He was tall but always looked pale and thin, and whenever he laughed he seemed kind of sad. But from what Mayuri said, until just half a year ago he'd been a totally different person. She said he was haughty and arrogant, but also kind and a great leader. Mayuri was known to let her emotions influence her judgment, so Katsumi didn't know how much of that description was accurate.
Yeah.
Mayuri started to freak out even more after hearing the word boyfriend.
Fubuki, Ocarine and Mayushi aren't like that, okay? Ah, come on.
Yuki and Kaede weren't buying it either. Honestly, Ocarina and Mayuri seemed more like an old wed couple that had been together for years than boyfriend and girlfriend.
It's true. Ocarina has somebody else he likes.
What? Mayuri sounded totally unconcerned, which made Katsumi even more surprised.
Is that true? Really?
Yep. Who could have guessed? It was Yuki, the eldest, who spoke first.
Sorry, should we not have said anything? No, Mayushi and Ocarina are childhood friends and get along great, so it's okay. I see.
Mayuri's smile seemed very sad to Katsumi. She felt a sudden impulse to give her schoolmate a hug.
Anyway.
Mayuri smiled and walked over to Yuki, as if to blow away the awkwardness.
So, what about you, Yuki? Huh? Me? Yep, so you spending Christmas with your boyfriend? Haha, I really don't have one. Really? You guys all have the wrong idea. I'm not that popular. Between you and me, I've never even had a boyfriend. What?
What? First Mayuri, then Yuki. Katsumi was stunned.
Is that true? I didn't think it would be that much of a surprise. And Yuki,
Mayuri started to fidget.
How about Daru, maybe? Huh? Hashida?
Yep! Wait, where is that coming from, Mayushi? Hashida's a perverted gentleman.
Who knows what I'll do to Yuki?
The man that Katsumi and Kaede were insulting was Otaru Hashida, a college student and a member of Mayuri's club. He was a hardcore otaku, one of the hybrid types, who said he enjoyed both 2- and 3-dimensional girls. And like Katsumi had said, he was a perverted gentleman. He would say perverse things all day without the slightest shame. And Whenever you told him he was a pervert, he would say, "No, I'm a perverted gentleman." He was a dangerous guy. But Yuki didn't seem bothered. She actually looked a little sad.
Hashira's a nice guy, but you know, I don't think he likes girls like me. What?
Mayuri was shocked far above and beyond her usual limit. She was so surprised she let go of her suitcase's handle and let it fall to the ground. Instead of picking it up, she started talking frantically.
That's not true. Dara's, he really likes you. I'm sure of it. Mayushi guarantees it. Remember how he acted when we met him at Summer Komima?
Yuki had met Mayuri 4 months ago at Summer Komima. Katsumi and Kaede had come wearing outfits Mayuri made. Kaede found Yuki at the convention hall, all by herself, and they met up. Afterward, they'd all gone to a party where she'd met Mayuri's friend Itaro Hachida. Katsumi had definitely witnessed Yuki and Itaro having a friendly conversation. Ever since then, Yuki and Mayuri and Daro had become friends, and Yuki had started going to Mayuri's club, the Future Gadget Laboratory. In other words, Yuki and Itaro had been talking ever since Summer Komima. But still, Yuki chuckled sadly and shook her head.
Now I can tell. He's avoiding me. I'm thinking it's probably best if I don't go to the Christmas party. Oh. I think Hashira likes girls who are more like, a little sister? A little sister who's really strong-willed and who bosses her big brother around. Aww. Like maybe Suzaha? That's...
For some reason, Mayuri looked like she was about to cry. She seemed to want to say something, but couldn't bring herself to. Her lips were quivering.
Mayuri? It's nothing.
But it certainly didn't look like nothing. Katsumi couldn't bear to watch her anymore. And so she gave in to her impulses.
Mayushi, don't make that face. You look cutest when you smile. Come on, if you don't smile, I'll tickle you. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Stop.
Katsumi snuck behind Mayuri and started to tickle her under her arms.
Yeah.
You give up?
Oh, Fubuki, you're so mean. You're too cute, Mayushi.
Mayuri was laughing so hard she was crying, and this time Katsumi succeeded in giving her a hug. Even though they were in public, she started rubbing her cheek against her.
Mayushi, I like you. I love you. Hey, Fubuki. I want to take you home and lick you forever. That'll be really bad. I don't care if it's bad. Marry me. You can't do that.
Mayuri tried to run away, but Fubuki grabbed her and started to kiss her all over.
I'm kind of tired. That's Mayushi's line.
In the end, Katsumi kept clinging to Mayuri until they reached the station. She felt a lot better, but catching Mayuri when she tried to escape used up a lot of energy. Either way, now that she was satisfied. She shuddered and turned back towards Mayuri as an image came into her mind from out of nowhere.
Hey, Mayushi. What is it? Let's cosplay together at Winter Komima, okay? I told you before, right? Winter Komima, Mayushi is just going to make things. That's fine. Just make sure you come to Winter Komima with the three of us, okay? Of course, that's what we did all the shopping for, right? Yeah, but still, it's a promise, okay? Yeah, it's a promise.
Mayuri and Yuki split up with them in front of the station since they were taking a different train.
Bye-bye! Good night, Mayuri, Yuki. Bye. Doo-doo.
Bye-bye! Katsumi stood still and watched the two of them until they were out of sight. It felt like she was about to cry and looked up to stop the tears from falling.
Fubuki? Huh?
Kaede was standing next to her, looking worried.
What's wrong?
I'm sorry, it's nothing.
It's not nothing. Is there something going on with Mayuri? Please, tell me.
Even after Kaede asked, Katsumi wasn't sure she could tell her. There was no way she'd believe it anyway.
You're more hyper than usual today. Felt really forced.
You noticed.
Of course I did.
Katsumi and Kaede had known each other for 2 years. Since their ages were so different, they treated each other like an older and younger sister. So at times like this, Kaede was really sharp. Kaede didn't talk much, but that meant she paid a lot of attention to the people around her. Part of it was also that Katsumi wasn't good at hiding things. She just couldn't lie to Kaede, no matter what. She gave up and decided to say it.
Mayushi. Yeah? She's going to die. What? What? What do you mean?
Katsumi remembered the nightmares, and the things she kept seeing no matter how much she didn't want to.
I have these dreams. Dreams?
They started in summer, I think. Every night I have dreams about Mayushi dying. Every time you and I are there crying and crying, but there's nothing we can do.
The one I had last night was the worst. And she just collapses right in front of us, and she stops moving. Ocarina is screaming and holding her. He's screaming so loud. What happened to me? Why do I keep having these dreams? Calm down, Fubuki. It's probably just because you're so tired.
Is it?
Is it really? You saw Mayuri today. She was fine, right?
Kaede gave Katsumi a gentle shoulder hug.
So it's okay. I don't want Mayushi to die. It's impossible. It won't happen.
Ever?
Ever.
Okay. Kaede's words made Katsumi calm down a little. She was glad to have an older friend like this.
Anyway, it's just your imagination. There's no way something that awful could happen.
Her hand squeezed Katsumi's shoulder tightly. Being held like this made Katsumi feel a lot better.
Sorry for being weird.
But that night she had the nightmares again. Suzuha Amane was about to run out of patience. Cause was the young man in the room with her father. Yutaru Hashida, aka Daru. His massively obese body was leaning forward over a computer monitor, and he had a dopey grin on his face. He'd finally gotten up around 11 a.m., gulped down 3 cups of instant ramen, and now he was surfing the internet. Oh? What? Wait, normies must die, pee, and Parthenon, her husband and wife? Nobody told me about this. Wait, his handle is normies must die, but he's a normal. He's got a wife. That's not fair. I thought he was on the side of us loners. This means war. It's trolling time. Oh, TL, the Atcha and Tweeter are already pissed off. I missed the boat. I need to go back and look at the timeline again.
Dad!
Yes? That's what Suzuha called her father. So he was, after all, so there was nothing else to call him. Suzuha was a time traveler from the year 2036, and 7 years from now, he would become her father.
Stop screwing around. All you ever do is lie around and eat, or look at the internet, or play video games. I told you that nothing but instant noodles and snack will make you sick, but that's still all you ever eat.
In fact, his PC desk was covered with snacks. He cleaned it regularly, but it never seemed to make a difference.
I keep telling you to exercise, but you never do.
Suzuha realized she was complaining more than usual, but she had to say it anyway.
At this rate, in the future...
And then she realized that Yutaru wasn't even listening to her. His eyes were fixed on the computer monitor, He'd moved his mouse out of sight, but she could still hear him clicking it.
Listen to me!
Suzuha approached her father from behind and put the hairspray can she'd been hiding up to his neck. Ah! Yutaro seemed to think it was a gun. He stuck his hands up. Threats like this worked. They worked because she'd told him that she'd survived the Third World War and the wars and chaos of 2036, and that she was ready to draw a gun and pull the trigger whenever she needed to. Suzuha, if you don't stop, Dai's gonna get mad.
I'm getting mad at you right now.
Right, sorry. But you know about my secret job, right? I'm pretty busy with that. You're as good as hacker as I am, there are always a ton of offers. I don't have time to eat real food, right? And there's a time difference with overseas clients, so sometimes I'm like up all night.
In the future, you used to say that all the time, and the mom would always get mad at you. Even if, for the sake of the argument, we can't do anything about your sleep schedule, I can't let you keep eating all this unhealthy food. I'll stop immediately. Got it?
But work's hard, and so's the time machine research. I need to relax.
You just use that as an excuse to slack off. You're being a spoiled brat, Dad.
Suzuha was always amazed that her dad managed to survive the future's wars. But since the time machine research would affect the future, and eventually Suzuha's very presence here, she couldn't tell him to stop. Even after Rintaro Okabe stopped coming to the Future Gadget Lab, Itaru had kept working on the time machine all by himself. Suzuha never said a word about it. If she did, it might create a time paradox.
Just remember, you can't examine the time machine that came from the future to build your own.
You decided to warn him again. I know that, but sometimes I lose confidence. Can I really make a time machine?
Of course you can. Hang in there.
Okay. Suzuha took the hairspray can off his neck. Hey, I was sure that was a gun and it wasn't. How can you trick your own dad?
I'll use a real one next time, okay?
Please don't. Suzuha put the can of hairspray back on the shelf. It was something Rintaro Okabe had left here when he'd lived in the lab. It was still here since its owner never came back for it. You know, in manga and video games, it's always really cute when a girl scolds her dad. Suzuha, can you try to say, "Oh geez, don't do that, Papa," in a really sweet voice if you can? Never mind. Her dad shrank from Suzuha's glare. Suzuha sighed loudly and dropped herself on the sofa. She leaned back against the headrest and stared at the ceiling, then closed her eyes. What's wrong?
It's nothing.
Can't hide it from me. When you say it's nothing, that means I want you to listen to me, right?
Huh?
Come on, tell me. Cyrus sounded very serious. Suzuha's eyes went wide for a moment, but then she realized.
That line. That was in the girl game you were playing earlier, wasn't it? The phrase that triggers the flag, right?
She'd been living here for 3 months. She was starting to learn a little about Akihaba's culture circa 2010.
Dad, you better not be thinking about trying to take my route, okay?
No, I wouldn't do that to my own daughter.
Really? I always wondered about you in the future.
Huh?
Even after I hit puberty, you always kept asking me to take baths with you.
What? That's scary.
When I was in the military, you were always working on the time machine, so we couldn't always be together. You always got huggy around me. It was honestly kind of obnoxious.
Her dad looked honestly depressed and she realized that she'd gone too far.
You always said to me, you know, "This is the worst world line possible. But your birth was the best thing that could have happened." I don't want to disappoint the future you, Dad. I need to convince Uncle Okari no matter what.
It's okay. I'll never be disappointed.
Really?
Yeah.
But Uncle just won't listen to me. He's not going back to the past like this. He won't rescue Kurosumaki-se, and he won't reach Steins Gate.
Steins Gate. That was the name of the mysterious world line her dad had told her about in 2036, where World War III might not occur. Leading Rintaro Okabe to that world line, was her mission. But right now, it wasn't going well. Suzuha had come to 2010, and just like the mission had called for, she'd succeeded in sending Rintaro Okabe to July 28th. But then he'd failed. And he wasn't going to try again. Every time they'd met, she'd try to convince him, but who knew if her words were having any effect.
In the end, this world line will converge into the Third World War. Many people will be killed. Came here to change that, but maybe fate says I can't.
Suzuha had something else she had to do here in Akihabara in December 2010, besides convincing Rintaro Okabe. It meant she was running around every day. The exhaustion was starting to take its toll on her. During the war, she'd been able to keep herself sharp at all times, and this level of exhaustion wouldn't have meant anything. The relaxed atmosphere of 2010 was actually making her realize how tired she was. She was feeling very sleepy right now, actually. She was surprised at how willing she was to fall asleep in such an undefended position, but she didn't think she could beat the temptation. And then suddenly she felt something extremely cold on the back of her neck.
Yeah!
She snapped awake in an instant. Movements after that were lightning quick. She jumped up and slid behind the massive body in front of her, which obviously belonged to Itaru, then grabbed his arm and twisted it as she dropped him to the floor. She went to draw the gun at her hip, and her hand swiped through empty air. Then she came back to reality. Her gun was hidden. She wasn't carrying it. This wasn't 2036. Ow, ow, ouchie! 2 cans of Dr. Beak clattered to the floor. It must have been what he'd put on her neck.
What are you doing, Dad?
Getting you back.
I was half asleep, so I almost killed you.
What?
Told you that's how I've been trained. That could have turned out really badly for you.
Fine, just let me go. This really hurts.
Oh, sheesh.
Suzuha let her father go. Oh. Itaru rubbed his arm and stood up, and grabbed the cans of Dr. P off the floor. He offered one to Suzuha. Anyway, giving up too soon. Keep at it a little longer. I think Ogrene's just tired and sleeping. Put some cold Dr. P up to his neck, just like I did, and he'll wake up. I mean, it's Ocarine we're talking about.
Yeah.
She realized her dad was trying to cheer her up, and nodded. Then she heard footsteps coming up the stairs, and some slightly off-key humming. Ah! Their eyes met. Just the sound was enough to tell them who it was. Hi, Suzuha.
Okie dokie.
Suzuha moved fast, maybe even faster than when she knocked her father to the ground. She quickly and silently jumped behind the curtain that separated the lab's development room from the rest of it. Just as she hid beneath the desk, there was a knock at the door.
Hello?
Suzuha knew that voice, of course. It was her mom. She could tell from the noises she was making that her dad was panicking. There was another knock.
Mary?
Right, I'm coming. Itaru went to open the door. Suzuha took a deep breath and concentrated her mind. She remembered the time she spent 3 days and 3 nights on a battlefield with no food and nothing to drink, constantly aiming her rifle at the target. She erased any trace of that presence that could give her away. Her breathing started to become shallow. Dad, don't screw this up, okay? And I think that this is a pretty good place to cut it. I'm so interested with this new format where we have multiple different perspectives, but a singular narrator. It's very interesting. I'm not sure. I'm curious how much time we're going to spend on each of these people. I feel like Fubuki is going to definitely be one that we spend a fair bit of time on, just because she seems to also have reading Steiner. But for now, thank you all so much for following my playthrough of Steins Gate, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.